Well, good afternoon, everyone. Daryl Ferguson, Director of Performance Management with Xtime here. We're so glad that you've taken some time out of your day to join us for our Service Drive Walkaround Best Practice webinar. So we've got a lot of people logging in, so we're going to give everybody about 20 more seconds to get logged in, and then we'll get the presentation started. We're going to get started here in about 15 seconds. We got a lot of folks still logging in today. All right, we'll give everybody about 5 more seconds. Got a lot of folks attending today. Okay, well, once again, I'm Daryl Ferguson, Director of Performance Management with Xtime. We're so excited to have you with us this afternoon or morning, depending upon where you're at, to discuss world-class service drive walkarounds. Just a couple of notes of housekeeping. We've got a lot of folks on the line today in dealerships or loud places, so we've got everybody on mute. But we do want to hear from you. We do want to hear your questions. And so in your control panel on the right-hand side, there's a couple things I want you to notice. Number one, you've got a box for questions. So at any point in the presentation, you have a question, just drop them in there. And throughout the presentation, we'll try to take those questions as close to real time as we can as Don takes us through the presentation. But the number one question we always get is, how do I get a copy of this presentation? Well, we've made that simple. In that same control panel, a couple of notches below questions, you're going to see handouts, and it should say 1 of 5. And so at any point throughout the presentation that you'd like to have a PDF version of this PowerPoint, simply just click that, and it's super easy. I think you can just drag and drop it, and your computer should automatically download that. In case you have trouble with that, or for whatever reason your computer doesn't want to cooperate, just at the end, we'll give some instructions on how to get a copy, as well as a recording of today's presentation. The presentation should last around 30 minutes, depending upon how many questions we have. And we're really excited to present kind of the basis behind what we're doing today. It's really all about retention, you know, and I'm sure that everyone on this line has heard that word thrown around a lot, because it's so vitally important today to drive our business and our dealerships. But, you know, retention really is earned by creating an environment that's consistent. So if you think about really anything in life that it's an e-commerce type situation, you know, whether you're online purchasing things from big retailers or wherever you're at, the purchase experience is generally very consistent. There's places that you shop or you frequent, or restaurants that you like, or places that you like to go, that you come to expect a certain level of service and a certain experience. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. And this is really important, because in my travels around the country, and I know Don certainly can echo this as well, where we find dealerships that really aren't performing at the highest levels, it's really about inconsistency, you know, because one of the things I commonly find in underperforming dealerships around the country is they are consistently inconsistent. And the reality is that's what drives customers away. So what we're going to do today is lay out, or what Don's going to do today is he's going to lay out for us a world-class service drive experience, and primarily using our Engage software, or frankly, for that matter, really any software that allows you to have a set path to walk around the vehicle and talk with your counsel with your customers. So that being said, I'm going to introduce Don Baxter. Don is one of our managers of performance management. He handles our large group accounts and the team of performance managers that report to him. And he's been in the retail automotive business, specifically in the fixed ops side, for over 35 years, and has been with us for a number of years as well. So again, if you have questions, throw them in that question box, and we'll take those throughout the presentation. So that being said, Don, why don't you take it away?
Thank you, Daryl. And thank you, everyone, for being here. I appreciate you attending our world-class walk-around seminar. Hopefully, you'll pick something up out of this that you can use in your service drive to help you, obviously sell more and do a better job with your customers. So that's my one tip out of all of it, is look for that golden nugget in here. There's always got to be a takeaway, and you wouldn't be here if you didn't think there was a need. So with that, let's roll into it. So our agenda is going to be just really basic. You know, why are walkarounds important? The meet and greet, and how to perform it. The walk around itself, then doing a walk around your way, because what I want to explain to you is basically how you can really make this your walk around. It doesn't have to be a set template that comes from anybody else out there. And then really the most critical part is how to measure the effectiveness. What kind of reporting can you get, or where you can look to see if it's actually happening. And I'm going to try to touch as many of those points as I can, as effectively as I can. And if you have any questions, like Daryl said, please reach out, ask, and we'll definitely get you answered. If we don't get you answered on this presentation, then you can follow up with any of us afterwards, and we'll get you taken care of. So moving right along. So let's talk about why walkarounds are important. So everyone out there expects them to happen right now. And really, I think you'd have to ask yourself, are they really happening at my store? And then if they're not, then why not? Is it a scheduling issue? Is it capacities, documented process, tracking and reporting? So most of that we're going to touch today. Obviously, if it's scheduling and capacities, your performance manager is going to be able to help you with that. But if your advisors are too rushed in the morning to actually do a quality walk around, a meet and greet with the customer, and really start to develop that relationship that you want them to develop with the customers, then obviously we need to kind of create some time. And that's one of those things your performance manager is going to be best at and most suited at to help you with. So I would almost bet that right now in all of the stores that are out there, everybody who's on this call, that walkarounds are happening in your stores, probably better than 50% of the time. And my guess would be that the walkarounds aren't happening on the service drive, they're happening at the delivery. And it's your customer that's doing it after he's picked the vehicle up. So what we want to talk about is moving that around and actually doing that walk around during this write-up process, and actually how to garnish more out of it, make it more fulfilling for both you and the customer. So why do we want to do that? We're going to help establish a relationship of trust that you expect all customers to have with your service professionals. It's going to show the customers that you care. The customer's time is money if your processes make your staff quick and efficient. So, needless to say, if you sell more up front, that repair order goes into the shop. The technicians don't have to find as much. They don't have to sell as much because it's pre-sold on the drive. They can go right to work. And it really, what we're talking about is just taking a few minutes extra in order to perform a good service walk around. You're also able to deliver the car back to the vehicle quicker because there's less for the customer to upsell downstream in the process. And the customers, to be honest with you, if you save them time, they'll spend more money. So I hit a few points, about why walkarounds are important. Obviously, the trust that you build, policy expense, and so on. So let's get into it a little bit deeper, and we'll see if we can try to put this all together. So step one, before we even get into the walkaround, I've got to tell you, one of the most important pieces to it is really the first part of that experience with the customer, and it's the meet and greet. So our best practice really is to take advantage of Engage, use the data that you've got in Engage in order to do a quality meet and greet. And I call it setting the stage. If you start the greeting on the service drive, by walking out using the customer's name, then they're obviously going to be a little bit more impressed. So using Engage, IDing the customer, greeting the customer by name, kind of sets the mood really to pick that low-hanging fruit that's out there if your advisor is doing a good quality walk around. So think about this for a minute. When a customer arrives on your service drive, they're immediately scanning. They're beginning to assess every level of service that you provide. Are your advisors sitting in their office waiting for the customers to come to them? Are they quickly going out to the car? Is there a greeter that's greeting them as soon as they pull up? What's your process? How are you making the customer feel? Nothing escapes their eyes and ears. The cleanliness of the facility, their wait time, friendliness, willingness of your people to help them, knowledge of the service consultant, and finally, the most important thing is that very first greeting when they meet them. And I think one of the things that I've learned in the business over the years is you never get a second chance to make a good first impression. How many times have all of you heard that? So my point is, use Engage. If your service advisors are using it correctly, as the customer pulls up on the service drive, they can ID the customer by color. If you've actually put that into Engage, you can see that in the top left with the little diagram of the car and the circle around it. And then also, and this is where you would put it in. Now, I would tell you, my practice that I would tell you to use, or I don't know if it'd be a best practice, I would tell you that that kind of information really could be obtained more upfront. So the best thing to do is to teach your schedulers, service advisors, BDC people, whoever's setting the appointment, as they're getting the information from the customer, verifying the services that they need, is to ask them what color they are. This is actually in the screen where you're setting the appointment, and they can set that right now. So the other great piece of information that they really need to be asking for is the license plate. Now, customers aren't going to know that when you're scheduling an appointment. But as a service consultant, if you want to set yourself up for success on the next arrival for the customer when they come in for a service visit, it's right there on the service tablet. As you can see, they can modify it. Everything pushes to the DMS and updates, and it's available for them the next time they bring the vehicle in. So we talked about meet and greet, a few of the basics and that kind of stuff, and we really haven't gotten into the walk around. So let's touch on a little bit of that for the moment. So the walk around, obviously the first step, as I've already kind of laid out, is selling yourself to the customer with a professional greeting during the walk around. And I would say, imagine the customer arrives at your facility and your service professionals are up out of their chairs. They run out, greet the customer at their vehicle, introduce themselves in a professional manner, get the customer's name, and start the write-up process. Service advisor is going to discuss their needs, follows up with the customer's questions, answers them, detailed diagnostic questions if needed. After gathering all of the information from the customer, they reassure them that they're in the right place, that your technicians are going to get everything taken care of for them. And this can all be done consistently and efficiently while the customer looks on every time and brings their vehicle into your service facility if you have a documented process. So what's that documented process going to be? So the checklist that you're going to create is going to be your checklist. So let's get into the walk around and talk just a little bit about some of the things the advisor is going to see on the tablet and how they should actually perform the walk around that you request. So what you're looking at here, this is a screenshot of a tablet, and this is where the walk around is. And I would almost bet you that most service advisors jump straight from the check-in, which is in the top right where the check mark is, jump right past that and go to the shopping cart, because that's where the customer's services that they've already requested are going to be if they've set an appointment. But actually, they're jumping over probably the most important step of the service write-up process. If you're using a clipboard and paper, you've got a diagram of a car on it. You expect the service advisor to mark damage on the car, write down any additional needs. You may even have some menu items on there, or just some of your fast-moving things that he needs to discuss or quote with the customer, like rotate and balance or alignment on the car, filter replacements, and things of that nature. So what we're going to talk about here, this is the top half of the service walk around. And obviously you've got a diagram of the car, and you can mark visible damage on that car with your finger using the legend that's there in the top left where it says scratch, dent, and chip. So you can mark all your damage there and obviously take a photo of anything that's captured, and you can retain that in the customer's file. And I want to say, I think it's up to 3 years. It's going to be out there for you to refer back to. It could be longer. I'll check into that. But all of that information is going to be stored in this electronic service write-up sheet, just like the clipboard, but this is electronic and it has more in it. So anything that the customer needs, and let's talk about that for just a sec. Anything they're going to need that you think the service advisor should be discussing with the customer on the walk around, you can put into this. Now, this is kind of a standard one, and it starts with windshield wiper blades, concerns affecting all tires, recommended maintenance. Inside of each one of those areas, those categories, there are specific items that they can select if they hit that drop down. Wiper blades, it's going to let you offer and sell the customer a front blade and or rear blade. Concerns affecting all tires, it's going to be alignments, tire balance, patch repair, worn tires even. So this is the top half. So if you think about how you want your walk around to be performed, you can actually decide what these categories are and what services go within these categories. Your performance manager can help you with that. If he can't, he has a lot of other resources within our team that can actually help them through and get that done for you. A few hours invested in developing this process will pay huge dividends. So next, let's talk just briefly about world-class walk-around. So I jotted down 10 steps that I could come up with pretty quickly. And they're all really pretty basic, starting at the driver's door and working your way around the car with a few little things added in. In my world, popping the hood, turning the tires, rubbing your hands on the tires, doing things of that nature that's visual for the customer actually helps. It aids in the sale downstream. So once you've made your way around the car, obviously you've got the customer prepped. If you've lifted your wiper blades, drug your finger down the edge, things of that nature that are visual for the customer, it's going to help you when you come back around the car and make that offering, whether it be a menu package or just individual services that the customer might need. And inside of this, I'll tell you, one of the things that's probably overlooked the most is probably battery terminals. How many times do you guys sell battery terminals at your stores? Not very often in most cases. So during the walk around process, obviously these are my 10 steps that I put in there. Yours could be different. It's extremely important to take photos. So by examining the vehicle with the customer at your side, any damage that's discovered can be pointed out and discussed with the customer so that everyone is aware of the vehicle's condition prior to it going into the shop. The good walk around at the write-up process with photos protects you and the customer. Just like I'd stated earlier, customers are doing walk-arounds on their car, but they're doing them on your delivery drive. They're not doing it with the service advisor doing the walk-up. And needless to say, if they find anything on the car at that point, then it's a toss-up who owns it, whether it be you or them. It usually is a disagreement at some point. So you'd have to ask yourself, how many times is a customer walking around the car on your service drive when they're picking the vehicle up? You can also offer PDR work, if you have some sort of incentive for service advisors to sell body work across the drive, some sort of commission incentive, then that usually will help them, stop and at least point those things out to the customer. But like I said, my minimum is taking 6 photographs. I think you can take up to 25, maybe more, which was probably getting a little bit extreme. You can also take a 3-minute video if you require a video at your facility. It doesn't have to be photographs. Photographs might be of individual areas where the customer has obvious damage that you want to take a photo of. So during that walk around process, as you're going clockwise around the vehicle, 6 shots, easy to do. If you do this, it's going to cover the majority of the vehicle and protect you and the customer. So what are your touch points? Like I said, this is kind of a standard that we've got in here for some of the basics, like tire concerns, alignment, things of that nature. So what are your touch points? One of the best ways to ensure that the walk around is consistent is to create a checklist. That's why we have this tool built inside of Engage. So if they click on the wrench, they go into it, they can take the body shot photos as they're walking around the vehicle for damage. They can sell anything that you want to put in here. You create the categories, like I said, and you create the services within the categories and hold them accountable, which we're going to talk about here at the end. So even if you have fluid services that are important to you at your store, so a lot of dealerships sell BG or Mach or a lot of the other companies out there, and they may have some sort of process or services that you may want them to recommend. You can put those inside of a category and track them with the reporting that we have built into Xtime. So how do you track effectiveness? Well, that's really the trick, isn't it? Because if you don't inspect what you expect, then obviously performance is going to diminish, and it's going to be, well, like anything else, it's not going to happen 100% of the time. And I guarantee you the best out there, the processes that they have in place that happen 100% of the time, the customers are happier, they spend more money. So when you're talking about tracking effectiveness, inside of Xtime, you should have access to what we call a check-in summary dashboard. So this is a screenshot of the dashboard, kind of gives you an idea of what to look for. Most people will go to this and they'll look at it and they'll drill right in on a particular number, like 68%. Well, what happened to the other 32% that we didn't do a walk around on? Or they'll go to WalkAround sales and look at it and go, wow, $1,569. Who did that? They may drop down to the bottom and say, well, check-in activity, here are my advisors, I can see what utilization is, and then the dollars down at the bottom. But I tell you, for me, one of my hot buttons has always been the average time. What's the average time that it's taken the service advisor or service consultant to do a quality walk around with the customer? And if you think about that, if you think about the process that you want to have in place, and I look at the average times over here on the right, 2 minutes average, 3 minutes average, 3.9 minutes average, that's almost 4 minutes. And I look at the number of check-ins. Now, keep in mind, these are average times. I wonder about the customers that were below that average, if that's their average. And then honestly, can the walk around that you want your service consultants to perform be done that quickly? That's what you've got to ask yourself. So when I go here and I look at this, if I see 5 minutes and they've done 100 check-ins for the month, I know they're spending quality times with my customer. And if they're spending quality time with them, their sales are usually the highest on the drive. And to be honest with you, their CSI and customer satisfaction numbers are usually the highest on the drive also. So if they have high sales, high customer satisfaction, it's because they spend more quality time with the customer and they're organized, which is really the key. This tool helps you get your service advisors organized and follow a process. So you can see some of the touch points inside of tracking effectiveness that you can see in the dashboard. Utilization, average times, total dollars. If you have tire sales linked up, then we can actually put that in there also. That goes down in the right-hand lower corner of that top right-hand square. And you can be very effective with tire sales on the service drive for those who use it. So this is good for a snapshot, and it takes you just a minute to go into it and look at it daily. You can set it, and it'll always drop to month to date. You can look at individual days. You can do a little bit shorter time span if you want, week to date, and you can select that up in the top right. But let's say you want more. So if you go into reporting and hit the check-in summary, which is going to be in the drop down just to the left of the check-in summary dashboard where it says launcher, you can go down and hit check-in summary, and from here, you can actually go down into the check-in summary, drill in by date range, and go, okay, this is what I want to look at. So the metrics that you're looking at here are really the numbers that are driving the report, showing you whether or not the service advisor or service consultant is actually following your process. So before you look at the dollars and stuff, you can see at the top that I've dropped it in on what's dealer by advisor, and it's going to show you their utilization, total dollars, menu performance, sales if they're selling menus, tire sales if they're selling tires, and then to the far right, deferred services. Total inspections, services deferred, total inspection dollars preferred. So what that is, and I didn't touch on that earlier, if they're talking to your customers and the customer says, no, I don't want to do that today, then they can mark that as later. And that will go into a deferred service and you can track it here. But you can also track all of the other services that the customer is getting, the number of a la carte services and dollars, tires, anything that you want to look at. This could be extracted into a spreadsheet. It actually has service advisor names to the far left. I've removed those to protect the innocent. But this tool and then the one I just showed you as a dashboard is where you would want to hold your service advisors accountable. So the one red circle that's there at the top, if you're one who actually drills in and goes, why is my checking utilization only at 63% or 80.2% or 84.8%? Then if you click on that additional tab for that date range, it's going to pull up a list of all the customers that did not get a service drive check-in, that did not get checked in on a tablet, did not get a walk-around performed, did not get any photos taken of any body damage or any additional sales or services recommended to them. Those are the customers that basically got written up and thrown over the fence into the shop and just let somebody else do it. So this report, just like everything else that I've been showing you, everything here is something that your performance manager can help you with. He can take you through this report, walk you through it, show you how to extract it, and he can also help you modify and make your walk around more what you want it to be. So with that being said, I think I'm pretty much on cue. Daryl gave me about 30 minutes. I think we're at 28. Do we have any questions that anybody needs answered?
So if you have any questions, feel free just to drop them in the control panel in the question box. Love to take any questions you have right now. Remember too, while we're still live in the meeting, if you'd like to have a copy of the presentation in the control panel, you see a tab that says handouts. Feel free to click that open and just drag and drop that PDF on your computer. If your computer for some reason is not allowing you to do that, you should have received about an hour and a half ago a reminder email directly from me. And all you need to do is just respond back to that reminder email. It will come right back to me. If you had trouble getting a copy of the presentation or you'd like a recording of today's presentation, happy to provide that. If you just have extra questions, you'd like to know how maybe if for some reason you're not hooked up with your performance manager, we'd love to take care of that. It looks like we've got a couple things here. Let's see, I'm trying to see, okay. Trying to get questions pulled up here. I don't have, okay, hold on, here we go. Melanie asked, I have reports, but not check-in summary report.
So I would have to ask Melanie, are you currently using Engage at your store? If you are, that report is activated when Engage is turned on. If you have Engage and that is not available to you, speak with your performance manager. There is a permission that he'll need to give you in order to get you access to it. Pretty easy to do, but if you're using our write-up tablets right now, then absolutely you would have access to those reports and should.
Okay, so Patrick's got a really good question that we did not cover in today's webinar, but this is a great question. I think you're going to be really excited about the answer, Patrick. But he asked, can checklist touch points be different by VIN? Can they pull from service history for declined maintenance or missing maintenance in service history? So I think he's asking, What about previous declined services, and what about a menu, a factory maintenance menu, Don?
So yes, that's actually on the next tab. It's not part of the walk around I did show you. That is absolutely correct. But the next tab down on the right-hand side in the presentation, if you're looking at your tablet screen, when they go to the services, it actually drops you in on a page that will drill in by VIN to that exact vehicle. And if the mileage is put in during the write-up process, it's going to take you to the mileage menu service recommendation that is due on that vehicle at that time. So in addition to that, if you have declined services from a prior visit, then those are actually going to show up on the tablet just below that. When they click to the next tab on that services page, it will take you to it'll take you to the services the customer has already brought the vehicle in for, and that the ones that his appointment was set for, but it'll show you those declined services that you can add on this visit. And to be honest with you, you're absolutely correct. You should be presenting those. Go, oh, Mr. Customer, I see that you needed wiper blades on your last visit. Do you want us to go ahead and get that taken care of for you while you're here today? Save you some time and money, so on and so on. But that's a good ask. That's a good call out. Thank you.
Yeah, and also Patrick too, depending upon your manufacturer, we offer recall integration as well. So many of the manufacturers out there provide us that recall data, and those recalls, if there's any active recalls, those will show up in the tablet right along with declined services and whatever the customer selected on their appointment. So not enough time today to cover every tiny thing that the tablet will do, but it is extremely powerful. And definitely, if you've got, obviously need more information there, your performance manager, Patrick, would love to work with you and help you with that.
Great. Any other questions?
Okay, well, that looks like all that. Well, Don, thank you so much. Great job today. And as always, reach out to your performance manager, reach out to me, reach out to Don. We'd love to help you any way we can. In performance management, we're here for one mission in life, and that's to help you guys utilize the software to the highest potential and make more money and have happier customers. So again, thank you, Don.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Have a great day.